Hey, what's going on? So in today's video, I'm going to be using System 3's SculpWood Putty. This is an epoxy system, as you can see here on the picture. It's kind of like a clay material. It's a two-part system, and you mix it in a 1-to-1 ratio. It's very easy to use, and comes in these handy containers. There's all different sizes. There's a small container up to a gallon container, so whatever size you need for your project. They also have some other products that they offer. So you can get borate powder, which helps kill active rot fungus. There's rot fix, which you use to restore strength to rot damaged wood. I'm not using that product. I'm actually using Minwax wood hardener, which you can get at a lot of hardware stores. Then the SculpWood Putty, which is what I'm using today. Then they have SculpWood paste, which is like another two-part mixture epoxy paste. I'm not using these other products, I'm just using the SculpWood Putty today, but all four of these together is the end rot system. Now I've got these windows here. I've already removed the hardware, and then you want to remove any loose wood before you do the wood hardener. So to do that, I did most of it with this scraper here. It's pretty handy. And then you get a little container, you pour this in there, and you use a chip brush, just a small, I think it was like an inch brush. And you brush it on, and you just keep brushing, and it'll soak into the wood, and you just keep coating it until basically it doesn't soak anymore in, and you're good. Now that is dried overnight, and we're gonna be doing this today. So you're gonna want some gloves. I'm using nitrile gloves. They sent regular like latex gloves with it, so I think you can use anything. And we're just gonna open our containers here. All right, so one is white and one is brown. So when you mix them together, you can see when it's mixed together because the colors will change. So I'm gonna need basically this whole thing probably, but I'm gonna start with a manageable amount. So I'm gonna get a ball of white, and I don't wanna mix them so they don't dry in the pack. And then I'm gonna get a ball of brown. Now it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so you want balls that are about the same size. Okay, so if they look about the same to you, you're good. I think I need a little bit more white. And then you just mix them together. Doesn't really matter how you mix them, just keep mixing them up. And you can see here they're starting to mix together, so the white and the brown are mixing together. When it's mixed, it'll all be one uniform color. So not quite there yet. You can see it's still white and brown swirls. Getting really close here. It's almost one color. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Once you're happy with your consistency, you just start mushing it into place. You want to get it in all the cracks everywhere you can. I'm going to start with this really, really bad area here. So I'm going to jam it in those holes there and make sure it's really worked into all these spots that it's missing. And then you just start building up what you need to get back to your wood line there. All right, and once it's like starting to look good, I'm gonna use like a putty knife to kind of flatten it out. What's nice about this stuff is it's not going to shrink or sag or do anything like that. So it'll pretty much stay where you put it. And one thing that's nice about it is you can cut it, you can sand it, you can drill into it. So it acts pretty much like wood once it's cured. Now I'm just going to mix up some more and keep going. Okay, so I went a little heavy with it, so it's sticking up a little bit because we're gonna sand it and scrape it and get it down so that it's the same height as the actual wood, so it's okay if it's a little bit high. If it's a little low, then you'll have to fill it more, so you don't want it to be too low. Looks pretty good to my eyeball, except for this little spot here. All right, now I'm gonna move up to this other little spot. All right, so I've filled all the nail holes and built everything up. Again, I'm going to just sand and chisel and scrape and plane this down to make it flat, so it'll look like good wood when it's done. And a little dead spot right there. That's it. Now it says the working time is 20 minutes, but it doesn't say how long it takes to dry. So I'm gonna leave this, probably come back and check it this afternoon and see if it's dry and if I can start working with it. All right, it's been about 4 hours and this stuff is pretty hard. I would say we're ready to start sculpting it. So you want to make sure when you're doing this you're using really sharp tools. I just sharpened up this chisel, so if you're interested in learning how to sharpen a chisel really good, this is like really sharp. You can cut paper with it. I've got a video on that, so I'll put a link for that down in the description as well as a card right here. All right, so I'm going to use the chisel and kind of sculpt this thing. I think that's the tool of choice that I want. And then I've also got an electric hand planer or a regular hand planer. And then once I get down really close, I'll switch probably to a belt sander or just the regular palm sander. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, if you wouldn't mind, go down below, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, make sure you click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified when I release new videos. All right, so I got it pretty good here. You can see I got that chisel off. Looks pretty good. I got that line pretty straight with a straight edge. And I got a couple low spots here, so I'm gonna have to fill those in. I'm gonna try doing it with the same epoxy stuff and see how it works, see how well it sticks. As you can see, it was pretty easy to work with. It's only been a few hours, so it's not rock hard yet. Here's a chunk that I've got from a few days ago, and this is pretty hard. Like this I don't think would work with a chisel as easily since it's been sitting so long. But since it's kind of fresh, but it's firm, it chiseled really nicely. I'm just gonna mix up a small amount and fill these in. All right, so that looks like it's gonna work. Gonna let this sit overnight. It's 5 o'clock now, so I'm gonna just let it sit overnight, come back tomorrow, and we'll chisel it down flush with this stuff. We'll give it a good sand, and then we'll prime it and paint it, ready to install. All right, so I've let this dry overnight. Now it's time to chisel it down and see if it sticks. And yeah, it looks like it sticks just fine. So I'm gonna get this shaped up, and then we're gonna sand it, and then we'll be ready for primers. Okay, so one thing I noticed is when it's really hard, it tends to chip. So you can see right there, it didn't cut cleanly. I tried to score it and then score it again. So just something to be careful with. It does chip when it's super hard. Meaning it was much easier to work with when it was only dry after 4 hours than it sitting overnight. So just keep that in mind. All right, now I'm gonna try sanding it, see how that works. I'm going to finish it up with some hand sanding, which sands really nicely actually. All right, now I'm just going to clean it off with the vacuum. All right, so I'm really happy with the results. I think it looks really good. I can't wait to see it with primer on it. The only spot that I got is where it chipped out a little bit right here, but I'm not terribly concerned about that. So let's see what it looks like with primer, how the primer takes. All right, I've got my primer. It's nothing super special. This is Zinsser Bullseye 123. I like this. It's a water-based interior, exterior primer. It's really good for basically everything. So let's give this a try, see how well it sticks here. So I think that looks pretty good. With the naked eye, I think once I get another coat of primer and a coat of paint on this, you'll never know that there was even a patch there. So that's pretty cool. Now I will do 2 coats of primer because the tannins in the wood and the pink, you can see it's bleeding through a little bit on the primer. That's pretty typical for anything. Stuff likes to bleed through, so that will get captured in the primer coat, and then I'll put another coat over that. And then I'll probably do a coat of white paint just over the top, just to make it white. I mean, this is white, but to give it that paint look, primer's kind of got a flat look, and the paint has kind of a glossy look to it. All right, so that is the System 3 SculpWood Putty. This is some pretty cool stuff. As you can see here, it looks great. And once it's top coated, it's gonna look amazing. There'll be a link for this down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. And thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next video.